sorting out all of this stuff. I think we got it. I think we have a bunch of people that are getting a little bit shy. Sorting out all of this stuff. Oops, hold on a second. We got it. All right. I think we are live. Hi, friends. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. I am joined by some mighty friends here in the Zoom room. And then as you guys come on in the YouTube live, please let us know who you are and where you're from and what's going on with you. Yeah, just really feeling it would be amazing to start with a little meditation. All right. So I invite you to sit comfortably in your seat wherever you are and to rest your hands kind of facing up on your lap. We're going to start with a practice called just being. So your hands are open and your eyes are open, but gazing out gently in front of you. And in this practice, there's no effort. So there's a total absence of energy expended in trying to do anything. You're simply being. You're practicing the art of allowing all things to be exactly as they are. Asking for the highest guidance, clearest wisdom, the kindest energy to infuse every cell of your body, to fill your energy centers with new information, to clear out any stagnation, any stale energy. Asking in this moment for your field to be purified, just knowing that your intention for all of this to occur ensures that it is and will continue to unfold. Just being here in the present moment with nothing to do and nowhere to go, no one to be. And if your eyes are open, go ahead and close them now. We'll take together 3 conscious breaths to the count of 4, 4, 8. So this is how it works. You're going to inhale through your nose to the count of 4. You'll hold your breath to the count of 4. And then you will exhale through your mouth to the count of 8. And the purpose of this practice is to increase mental clarity, to release any fears. Very good. Here we go. Ready? Inhale, breathe through your nose. Let your belly get super big. 2, 3, 4, and then hold your count. 2, 3, 4, opening through your mouth and exhale. 2, with a sound. 4, 6, 8. And 2 more, just like that. Breathing in through your nose, belly gets big and wide. 4, hold here. 2, 3, 4, and exhale audibly. 2, 4, keep exhaling. 6 and 8. Last one, breathing in through your nose, filling with inspiration, with ether, with love. Holding and open, exhaling all of the air. All the way out to 8. Just sitting here for a few moments. In gratitude. You can gently bring your hands together in front of your heart center. Sealing in this practice for the rest of your day. And namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Good?
Thank you.
You're
That was great.
I forgot my bells. Hi, 3C. We were just doing a little meditation. Look. There's the bells. So I just wanted to chat with you guys a little bit, read some stuff that I'm tapping from A Course in Miracles, and then we can open it up for some sharing. I know that last week there was a few people in the group that were expressing I felt like a little bit of frustration, a little bit of like, there's something I want to share. There's something that wants to come through me, but I'm still hesitating. I'm still controlling. I'm still trying to formulate what that is. And that's a very appropriate, I think, response. I mean, we're trying to sort out like what your position is, what it is you want to contribute, either within the movements that are happening right now or just within your own life. And so anytime those types of, feelings come up for me, I try and think about what my expectations are. And expectations generally exist in our subconscious mind. So if you have an expectation and the expectation isn't brought into your conscious mind, then what happens is we live in disappointment, right? So you could say that expectations are premeditated disappointments. And a lot of people are walking around with all of these expectations. Like we expect ourselves to be this way. We expect ourselves to be sharing this information. Or we expect ourselves to be this shape in our body or this kind of mother, father, brother, sister, whatever it is. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that when you practice deeply in terms of your spiritual evolution, it's important to look at what your expectations are. And so I'm going to give you a little tool that you can take or leave, but I hope you take it. And it's called the 8 keys. And the purpose of the tool is for clarity and direction. And so for some of you guys that are going to watch this on the replay, and for those of you that are here, there was this like, what is it I'm supposed to do? And so you can use this tool in any relationship. So like if you're trying to sort out what you want to do professionally or how you want your body to look or whatever it is, where you're going to move, what you want your life to look like, it's a good idea to write out some expectations, right? So I expect A, B, and C. And this was so clear for Danny and I last night because we had this opportunity and we were thinking about traveling. And I'm so grateful to have a partner who's like, hey, let's do an 8 keys at like 11:30 at night after we watched Justin's fantastic show. And we were so tired, but it was like, no, it's really important because we had all of these ideas and everything was kind of swimming around, but the minute we sat down and actually wrote it out, it got so much clearer. Okay, so is anybody here working on a relationship or something that, you know, you're looking for more clarity and direction on? Anybody? Go ahead, honey. We'll do both of you. So why don't we start with Angelica and then we'll go to Justin. What are you working on right now?
We can't hear you, Angelica.
Maybe just turn up your volume.
Oh,
Yes.
can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's basic, yeah. Actually, it's funny that you brought up that subject because it's something that my husband and I were talking just before the show started. And
Nice.
basically, we have to figure out what we're going to do because we're moving, right? So we have to. We know what we want, but it's very difficult to find what we want in like a couple of months. So we might have to temporarily move somewhere else and then but we don't know how the situation is going to be. We're just in this huge ball of we're not decisive. We just don't know which direction to go, what would be best because of everything that's also going on in the world, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about your life because we're in communication. So I know it's like the relationship you want to work on is, where am I going to live? Can we simplify it to that?
Sure. Yeah.
Does that resonate with you, or is there something else that we want to call it?
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Because we're trying to clarify it, right? Because a lot of times we just get really cerebral. Things get like swimmy. So it's like, all right, the question is, I'm trying to sort out where I want to live. So the relationship I'm working on is where am I going to live? My yoga teacher used to say that all the time. The 3 questions you ask yourself your entire life is, who do I want to be when I grow up? What do I want to do? And where do I want to live? When he passed away, he was 60. So he said, I asked myself those questions my entire life. Where do I want to live? So let's say that the relationship is, where do I want to live? The first step you would do is write out your expectations. And remember, your expectations are subconscious. A lot of people have said to me over the years, well, I don't have any expectations. You know, I fly by the seat of my pants. And I'm like, generally we have expectations. It's a good idea just to put them out on paper so that we're not at the effect of the expectation. We can start to get clear. Because all of you at this point realize that you're the master of your reality. You get to create it however you want, even though it seems that we're victims of the COVID and we're victims of the president, all of the things. The bottom line is that we get to create our reality the way that we want to. So I would invite you to just write down at least 3 expectations, you know?
What we want, our ideal scenario.
Yeah. Well, what do you expect for the place that you live? Like, do you expect peace? Do you expect
to live like I lived at my grandma's?
Okay, great. So write that down. So write it down. And this is a written exercise. And we try not to call them exercises because that word tends to upset people sometimes. It's not about an exercise, but it's about a process. So the first step is to write down some expectations, okay? Justin, what relationship are you sorting?
So I'm sorting out the relationship with my father. Just kind of dealing with stepping into that, stepping into myself fully and gracefully. I think there's a lot of fears with him feeling like he's losing me because I'm changing, and from his perspective, when in reality I'm just stepping into myself more fully. So just trying to navigate how to portray that, maintain, give him grace and give him that reassurance without robbing myself of that journey. So
Yeah, this is a big one, especially with parents. Like, they expect us to be a certain way. And so I think a lot of times we're doing that. We're showing up, we're trying to fit into the boxes, play the roles, please the parents. And then at some point it doesn't work anymore for you. And then it's like, oh no, I've got to change. And in that changing process, we tend to hurt others, or they get upset, or they're not going with that flow, or they're holding on to the past. And we talked about that in one of the past is over. There's a beautiful lesson in the Course in Miracles that says the past is over. It can touch me not. So only the love that happened in the past is the real aspect of that. So the real moments of being with your father, where there was mutual respect and grace, that was real. All of the other stuff where there was expectation was where the fear entered the relationship, and that's the lower level. And that's why in this process, we're just trying to bring it up to the surface. So welcome, love, Sabina. Nice to meet you here. We're just in the middle of our hi, sweetheart. Just welcome, snug yourself in, and we're just going to keep rolling, and we'll come to you at some point. So we're talking about Justin. We're talking about a tool that we use in terms of clarity and direction in our lives. So if you're working on the relationship with your father, this would be called an 8 keys on the relationship with my father. And the first key is expectations. So just write down 3. So I've done 8 keys processes where I had like 15, 30 expectations. And it's an excavation of the mind. It's just trying to get clear. There's a lot of us out there on the spiritual path. We're like, oh, just let go or get clear. But a lot of times it's easier said than done. It does take a little bit of energy to actually show up in the present moment and write it out. So I expect to be respected, or I respect change. I expect whatever it is for you. And you just listen to what comes out. All right. The second key is your purpose. So what's the purpose of this relationship? My purpose for being in a relationship with my father is to be myself, is to be fully self-expressed, is to be the man I was designed to be. I invite you guys to start with the being aspect when you write out a purpose. So my purpose is to be happy. My purpose is to be something. So Angelica, with your living situation, my purpose of moving is to be in nature, is to be surrounded by community. Does that make sense? And then we look at what you want to do so that I can grow fruit trees and, run through the ocean and watch the sunset every night, or whatever it is, so that I can have. So many of us, and if you're already at this point in your spiritual path, you probably figured out that it's not so much, the old paradigm is, well, if I had the money, I would do what I loved, and then I would be happy, right? How many of us have lived our life like, well, if I had the time, right? Well, if I had the time, then I would write my book, and then I would be, whatever it is. So this is really about turning everything upside down, which is what we understand, a lot of us on this journey, that we're 180 degrees away from reality, which is capital R. Everything we've learned, as our beloved Charlie Freak reminds us, is a lie. It's a lie that we've been told, that if you have something, then you can do what you want, and then you will be whatever it is that you want. The invitation that I'm offering today is that you're reminded of your beingness. So you are a being first. So we must be the thing that we want to experience. I have a friend and client who's like, well, I just want more peace. And I just, I'm really frustrated with all this stuff. And I want more peace in my life. And I want more joy. And I want more communication with my partner. And I was like, well, great. It's awesome that you know what you want. But we've got to be what we want. Whatever's missing in the relationship is what we are not giving to it. Does that make sense? So we can't be victims of the world. We can't be like, well, it's not happening because of something else. It's like, well, you get to demonstrate what it is, Justin, to be fully self-expressed. And in that process, you're triggering your father in the places where he's not fully self-expressed. That's how these things work. Because relationships are assignments. And a lot of us with these core relationships with our parents, they're our first relationships in this lifetime. So they tend to have the most density because we've been in them the longest, right? So a lot of us working on relationships, perhaps with your mothers and your fathers, your grandparents, the family of origin, because those are the relationships that we have the most history, the most woundings. All right. So the purpose becomes a statement. My purpose for being in this relationship is to, be open, to learn how to whatever it is so that I can have. Does that make sense? Sometimes if you're like a little bit stuck in it, it's like, all right, what are the things? Just like free roll consciousness without that egoic mind saying, well, no, 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 no. Like for the third key in this process, it's what do you want? Wants are dreams, they're visions, the things that you want to manifest. I've asked people a lot of the time, what do you want? And they're like, oh, gosh, I don't know. Because a lot of times we're just told what we should want. And this is about your sovereignty, isn't it? It's about taking back like this relationship. I am 100% responsible for this relationship. 100, not 98.9%. 100% responsible for this relationship. So if I want clear communication, I want clear communication. If I want a house by the ocean, I want a house by the ocean. And the ego in this process doesn't have an opportunity or doesn't get to say, well, you don't deserve that, or it's too difficult, or there's COVID, or I can't travel, or I have to wear a mask, or whatever is it wants to tell you to distract you from actually manifesting that which you want. The fourth key would be your needs. What do you need in this relationship? Needs are non-negotiable. We've been taught to negotiate our needs, haven't we? Needs are what you need for your spiritual well-being, for your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being. A lot of people are still, surrendering their needs for the needs of others. And in my experience, it's actually when I fulfill my needs, when I'm responsible for making sure that my needs are met, that's actually of service to others. Because there's an absence of resentment. Are you still with me? That happens a lot with resentments. They're hidden. They come out passive aggressive in terms of our behaviors. Well, I'm not getting what I need because I have children. Because I have to take care of you, or I have to do this, or whatever it is. So the invitation is, I need A, B, and C in terms of your living, in terms of your relationship with your dad, or whatever you're working on. And then the fifth key is your fears. Write out your fears and just watch what happens. I'm afraid, I won't be able to get back into Canada without a COVID test. I'm afraid of getting on an airplane. I'm afraid of telling him the truth. I'm afraid he will judge me. I have a very interesting relationship with my parents too, Justin, because I've been someone for the last 15 years that has just literally pressed buttons. Like I just press buttons. And if you're on a spiritual journey, basically that, which everyone is, whether we know it or not, that's what we do. That's what you signed up for. So don't worry about it. You signed up to push people's buttons. And the lesson and the assignment for you is to allow that to happen without you losing your mind, losing your heart, losing your energy. So I tend to push buttons. I'm a button pusher. So I don't really talk to my family too often. And now this whole situation, I have gone so far gone that it's like, I mean, what happened? Who are you? But then they see me. And so there's that cognitive dissonance that's really confusing, because it's like, wow, you're like so happy, and like, wow, you're having a great time, and like, wow, you're in a healthy marriage and you have beautiful kids and you're eating healthy. You're like, this doesn't make sense. But I know intellectually, because based on my mental structures, you're crazy. So it's not matching. And it's upsetting for people because they're feeling like a lot of energy. And we haven't really learned any levels of emotional intelligence. So obviously it's the person in front of me whose fault this is, that I have all of these feelings. Does that make sense? It's like, oh, it's obviously that person. So yesterday, we've been ebbing flowing. And so he said something to me like, Mr. Trump sent you X amount of dollars. Because we have a mail PO box there still in the States. And I go, I love Mr. Trump. Of course he did. That's amazing. And he goes, he kind of looked at me like, I can't believe you. I go, you saw the check. It's happening. It's happening. It's going to happen. I mean, there's going to be more of this happening. Thank God. He said, you need to wake up. And you know what? Like I would say maybe 6 weeks ago, I was still super tender around this. It would have gotten in like deeper. And we've all had pangs. Haven't you all felt literally stabbed emotionally? Like I felt stabbed in the back a few times, like literally where I was like, oh, wow, that's a full on energetic, somebody stabbed me. I'm gonna let this person in. I hope it's a real person. Bunch of numbers. But what happened yesterday was really interesting because I felt it. I was so slowed down that I kind of felt it starting to go in, and I inhaled and I was like, out, because I knew that that was my fear. My fear is judgment. Greetings, new friend. We're in the middle of a riff. I'm going to open it up here soon. But if I know my fears and I'm aware of what they are, then I can create some action to counter the fear. So the actions would be, you know, before I get on any phone call with them, I'm meditating. I'm sure I'm juiced up. You know. I only do it every couple weeks. What's the purpose of this call? The purpose is to, you know, so the children, really it's for the kids so that they get to see their grandparents. There's clarity around the function, like what is my purpose for being here? What is it that I want to happen? Does that make sense? So those are the first 5 keys. All right, expectations, purpose, wants, needs, and fears. So anytime, before everything in your life is a relationship. You have a relationship with food. You have a relationship with your body. You have a relationship with your partner, with your children, with your sleep. Everything, the course would invite us to look at everything in our life as a relationship. And we are 100% responsible for our relationships. So it's just about getting clear. What's the direction? Where do I want to go? So it's expectations, purpose, wants, needs, fears. Okay? And that's all I want to offer for right now. There's obviously 3 more keys, but I think that that's plenty for right now. And if anybody wanted to share that in our group, you're welcome to share that in the group, or if you want to send it to me personally, whatever. So then what you're going to do is you're going to shift all of that. And that's part of the process. Okay? First come, first serve. So send me something, or if anybody has something right now that came up for them, you're welcome to share. Good to go? Yeah? All right, so I just want to read you a little passage. Did somebody have something?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So while you were talking about that, I realized that I want to improve my relationship with money.
Excellent.
And although still a 3D dynamic, it's the one thing that I've always had an issue with. I've actually always in my adult life felt happier when I had no money, which kind of put me in mind of like a vow of poverty. So I've been working on that. I'm in the Dharma Life Academy with Alois Surfeet Minton.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're working on now. But it just popped into my mind that it's a relationship that we all have a strong idea about, a strong mind about, but yet it's possibly one of the most egoic things that we have in the world at the moment.
Well, this is a big one. So the invitation would be to go through an 8 keys on your relationship with money. What are your expectations? You know, I expect to have it. I expect not to have it. I expect to be able to support myself, my family. I expect to pay my rent. You know, money is an interesting piece. I think all of us are learning about. You know, I said the other day, and I've been going deep with money too, Richard. So thank you for bringing this out to the circle, because gosh, does it have us on the rat wheel, on the rat race, this money situation. And one of the things that I love so much about what's happening in the world is that we're collectively reevaluating money, revaluing money in and of itself. And so I've done this process with money a number of times. And I think that if you just give it a go and write it out, it will support you in terms of having a little bit more clarity. But yeah, it's a big conversation, and it tends to hold us all back. But remember the invitation to look at this as a be, do, have paradigm. And money is such a big one for a lot of us because, well, I can't do that. I don't have the money. I mean, we've all said that. We've all said that about something, I can't do that. I really push that back. I tend to push that back, and I tend to challenge that often because as we're all learning, this is about magnetic energy. So I want to repel the energy that says I can't have something based on money and reframe that. Well, how can I? Well, if I was being trusting, if I was taking my fear to the light, what would that look like? Like yesterday, I had the opportunity, I wanted to buy this scarf for the facilitator, my children's facilitator. And it's a little bit more expensive. And I really right now, like I'm supposed to be being careful and like da-da-da. I've never lived my life like that with money though. I've always just, I don't know, tried not to spend too much energy on it. What's the purpose? Well, it's to be open. It's to be fun. It's to share in that energy exchange, and I absolutely believe there's going to be a time when we're going to evolve from that. Absolutely. And we're going to keep getting healthier as we go. But we've got to heal our relationship to money. So anyway, I was kind of nervous about it because I knew that and all the things, but I went, I got it. And she says to me, you know what, just write it down and I'll send you an invoice and just do it by the end of the week. And that was a miracle. And miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The love was, I trust that the intention is pure. I want to gift this to somebody. So today I didn't have the money, but the woman who, I was buying it from knows me. And she was like, don't worry about it. I'll get it by the end of the week. I'll send you an invoice. And that was actually easier for me because I know that by the end of the week, things are going to be a little different. This is what it is when you work for yourself, or, it's not like every 2 weeks you're getting any kind of payment. But it happened naturally because I didn't operate out of fear. Does that make sense? I was just open to the miracle, and I magnetized a miracle because that's how God works. God wants us to be abundant. God wants us to be free from anything that would hold us down into I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Just want to read you a little something. It says, there's nothing outside you. That is what you must ultimately learn, for it is the realization that the kingdom of heaven is restored to you. For God created only this, and he did not depart from it nor leave it separate from himself. The kingdom of heaven is the dwelling place for the Son of God, who left not his Father and dwells not apart from him. Heaven is not a place nor a condition. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else, nothing outside this oneness, and nothing else within. I love that because it's basically saying that the kingdom of heaven is the dwelling place for the Son of God. And we're all the sons and the daughters of God. So it's like with Angelica, what you're working on, like, where am I going to live? Well, you belong in heaven. So I'm going to be in heaven right now. And in heaven, I'm abundant. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat and what I'm going to wear and where I'm going to go. It's innate. It's going to happen. I trust that. Does that make sense? If I'm in a heaven, which is not a condition or a place, it's just an invitation to look at it from that place. It's a state of being. I'm going to be in heaven. I'm going to be in the state of love. I'm going to be nurtured. I'm going to be open to receiving whatever it is that I'm meant to receive right now. And if I'm receiving something that I don't like, I realize, okay, this is either one of two things, love or a call for love. So if I receive something I don't like, I've trained my mind enough to go, oh, this is a call for love. I get to respond with love because I know I'm in heaven. And in heaven, there's only love. Does that make sense? There's no fear in love. There's no fear there. There's only love. So that's the opportunity that we have right now. I mean, it's like, this is a moment to moment practice, isn't it? Where am I? Am I in love or am I fear? Am I in my subconscious, just kind of programming and going through my expectations, letting myself get hurt emotionally, physically, mentally, getting jabbed? I'm going to be in heaven. I'm free. So if I'm not feeling free, then it's up to me because I'm 100% responsible to clear whatever's in the way of that.
Marie,
Please.
you know, I think with a lot of those questions, sometimes I just have trouble answering them. You know, I'm so scattered. I'm a very creative energy. And I'm so scattered that, you know, there's never a clear answer. Like I could go 10 different ways and I just don't, you know, I think that's always been my problem. I've done so many things in my life and people did that too. Oh, you did, but I never completely finished or reached, you know, and I'll jump around. So for me, it's hard to answer all those questions, you know, to come in and it would be easier if I could give you a definite answer for you.
Well, Jennifer, I would say, like, I know you're working with your relationship to your body, right, to your health. So I would actually invite you guys to create the space. Like, even if you have a full-on schedule, put an hour in your calendar and call it whatever you want. Call it me time, call it process, call it clarification, call it spiritual juice, whatever you want, and lay down before you do it or do some kind of breathing practice and ask for clarity. The issue that we have so much is that we're not asking. You know, the Course teaches us that we're not asking for enough. We expect too little from God. God's ready to give you everything. You're like, well, I'll just take the crumbs. So it's like, you've got to show up. You got to ask for, like, I need clarity. I want to manifest a beautiful dream. I want to buy some land in Mexico. I want to do this. I want to travel. I want to do this. Well, okay. Well, is it going to happen if I'm running around scattered in my mind? No, because my mind is very powerful. And what we're learning in all of these practices and from all of these shows and all this gnosis that's coming out is how to be vigilant and cast your net to the right all the time, to the righteousness of yourself, your mind. So create space is important because a lot of us are just running around in this frantic energy. And so then we're only manifesting, you know, maybe 25% of what we're actually capable of. So here's another tool that you could use, Jennifer. I heard you say, I am scattered. Does anybody else feel that way ever? I'm scattered. Okay. Or any other disempowered thought that you might have that you notice shows up a lot, that you think a lot. And this is what these practices are about. It's like, you got to be responsible. So you got to start looking. It's about taking your energy from the outside in. So if the thought is, I'm scattered, how do you feel if you say I'm scattered, Jennifer, how do you feel in your body? Are you there? Oh, it looks like she froze. Can everybody else hear me? Are we all on pitch?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, she'll come back. Does anybody else have a repetitive, disempowered thought that's showing up for them in these days?
Jumping in once more. I have an overriding thought of I'm not good enough.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for that one. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to post the second module in our group after this call, and it's called core beliefs. And this is going to blow your mind, because one of the core beliefs that all of us have been programmed into is I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And there's 3 of them. It's from cognitive behavioral therapy. It's really powerful information. So I'm going to post that. But there's the not good enough. I am not good enough is the core belief that tends to fuel so many others. I don't deserve this, or I can't, or blah, 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 all the things. So if you say, Richard, I'm not good enough, how do you feel?
Sad.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Sad. I feel sad. When I think I'm not good enough, I feel sad. And if I'm walking around saying I'm not good enough in my head and I'm feeling sad, what are my behaviors in the world? How do I show up to my life every day? Give it a go. Richard, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So what would your behaviors be like? Like how would you be showing up to your day? If you're kind of like feeling not good enough, a little bit sad.
It's difficult for me because I don't portray what I feel inside out to the world, because I'm like a cornerstone. I'm a rock in other people's lives. I show up for them. I'm there to lift them up, and that's been my life. I've always been a plinth, so to speak, helping others, so I don't have to focus on myself. This has been, I mean, I'm 39 years old. It's been a very long time of me doing that, and it's only past maybe 2 years that I've really started to think it's now time to think about me. But detaching myself from that old paradigm, because all anybody ever sees is the happy Richard, the positive Richard,
Got it.
the one that anybody can go to for advice and pick them up.
Got it.
But it's
Got
the
it.
most loneliest experience.
Okay. So then your behavior is not self-serving, it's other-serving, right? So I show up, I serve others, but there's a gap between them and me. So I'm not experiencing oneness. Because if this is what a lot of us do, us pleasers in the world, we're out there serving everybody else, and then we crash at the end of the day. Or there's like an absence of serving myself too. We've been trained that it's about others, especially in the Judeo-Christian upbringings. It's of service to others. It's like a self-sacrifice. But what we realize is that if we're all one, whatever I'm giving to someone else, I must by default give it to myself first. Otherwise, it's not as deeply, it's not as true. It doesn't have the same resonance. There will be resentment. There will be some level of suffering. So the yoga prayer, for example, Richard, is may all beings everywhere be happy and free. But a lot of yogis and, spiritual people in the world don't include themselves in that. So I'm always like, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, including me. And that's what's hard sometimes in relationships with parents or people that knew you in the past, and you've changed, you've gone through an awakening or a spiritual moment, and you're a little bit different. And people think, oh, you've changed. You're not serving me all the time. You're not showing up the way I want you to show up. Well, what did you really do? You took your power back and you gave it to yourself. And from there, wow, then your service really changes. So I really find that this time, it's like what Jennifer was saying earlier, I'm scattered, I don't have time. It's like, let's bring it back to you. Because when you heal, the Course of Miracles teaches us when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. And to heal is to make whole again. To be in touch with yourself as a spiritual being, an emotional being, clear in your mind, physically vibrant. So if I think I'm not good enough, thoughts create feelings, and thoughts plus feelings create behaviors in the world. So the behavior is, self-deprecation to a certain level. That might be a strong word, but whatever it is for you, Richard, it's not love of self. It's love of others, but you don't realize that the others are you. And so that's where the correction needs to happen. So this is a tool that you could use. So if I'm not good enough, let's change that thought. If I want to change the way I feel and the way I behave, I've got to change the way I think. Does that make sense? A lot of people are like, I just can't change the way I just feel this way, or this is just the way I am. This is my personality. A lot of people say like that. This is just the way I am. I'm just a little bit aggressive. That's just how I am. It's like, well, what's going on in between your ears? So if the thought is I'm not good enough, what could be another thought? Go as high as you can in your consciousness. What would be another frame to think about as it relates to you? Let's be simple. I am good enough. Just the exact opposite. I'm worthy of love. I am a part of creation. I deserve abundance. When you say those things, then how do you feel? Everybody kind of heard them. How do you feel when you say, I deserve a house by the ocean? What if someone say something? How do you feel in your body?
Well, it's like a difference between that sort of tight, if you feel that you're not worthy, you don't deserve it, you feel very tight and restricted and enclosed, almost claustrophobic. But as soon as you let go of that, it's like this weight is lifted, and I feel expansive and ready and just energized and empowered, and all the good things just come.
Great. That's so powerful. So if I'm walking around thinking I'm not good enough, I'm constrained. I feel constriction in my heart center. And so if I'm walking around thinking like that and feeling that way, my effects in the world are not as powerful. I'm a little bit timid in relationships. I'm self-conscious. I'm questioning myself. But if I think I'm worthy of love, Justin used the word expansive. I love that. I feel expanded. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a different energy than contraction, right? That's the opposite. So if I'm walking around saying I'm walking down the street and I'm going, I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of love. I'm a daughter of creation. Everything flows easily. I deserve abundance and peace and beautiful humans in my life. If I'm walking around with that song in my head, I'm feeling expansive. I walk into the shop to get the scarf, and she goes, honey, just take it. Don't worry about it. Thank you for sending me 7 people last week. Everybody came in here. Your friends are so beautiful. They just bought all of this stuff. I'm going to give you 25% off and just don't worry about it. Pay me at the end of the week. Why? Because I was feeling expansive and I was open to miracles. I was literally open to that magnetic energy. So it did it through me. I didn't have to do anything. My energy was there. My behaviors demonstrated that. Does that make sense? So the tool is called XYZ. And you're going to see that, Richard, in the second module that I'm going to post. And I hope you watch these modules, guys. We put them together a couple years ago. And I find them, I'm so grateful that it came through me that way. So I hope you watch them and you use them. But for core beliefs, it's really important because we can heal our behaviors. We can fake it. We can pretend it's all good. But that doesn't attend to the feeling aspect and the mental aspect of our existence. So it is really beneficial to start doing some clearing in terms of how we're thinking and how we're talking, and to build your awareness around that. Well, I don't think I'm good enough. And remember that thought creates feelings, and thoughts and feelings manifest behaviors. And so if something's happening in your 3D reality that you're not happy with, and you're 100% responsible for that, one of the first places to look in terms of healing is, well, what am I thinking right now in this moment? I feel anxiety. If you feel your heart constrained, you go, oh, what's going on in my brain? And it's generally, I'm not good enough, or I'm unlovable, or I'm bad. something like that, dressed up in a different outfit. So the whole purpose of these chats together and having these Miraculous Mondays is to set the week off on a high note and to be like, okay, if I'm 100% responsible, then what am I thinking about? And how am I vigilant against that small little egoic voice that I'm giving the microphone to? How often does the ego get the mic in your reality? It's sometimes we just don't even realize it's happening because we're just moving so fast. There was a show we were on recently that was like, you know, I think Charlie said something like it was like years had passed in the last 9 months. And Danny and I were talking about it. I was just like, God, it feels like it's been like 10 years or something. So much has been happening for all of us. And it's such an opportunity for us to take this higher and higher and clearer and to step out of those old programs, literally in the moment, not only thinking that we've done it, but actually doing it in the moment, practicing. So you got 2 tools today. You have the 8 keys and XYZ. XYZ is shifting from the disempowering thought to the empowering thought. X is the thought, I'm not good enough. Y is the feeling, the contraction, and Z is the behavior. X plus Y equals Z. So you can reframe anything. You can reframe anything. And if you notice your feelings are off, go in there and make a little correction. That's this week. And get clear on your expectations. What do you expect to happen? What's your purpose for being in this relationship? A lot of us are in relationships that we don't even know what the purpose is anymore. We're just there because it's just going on. A lot of us have had to take a deep look at our relationships in these last 9 months. A lot of people we said goodbye to. A whole lot of people we welcomed into our lives as well. That's been such a blessing because we were willing to let go. We were willing to be the bad guy. We were willing to be crazy. But it still doesn't, there's still sometimes an emotional effect that's still lingering in our field because none of us, you know, we're all beautiful. We're all lovers. Nobody here wants to be accused of being crazy or, you know, whatever it is you've been accused of these last 9 months.
I think if I can contribute,
Please.
I've been kind of going through this with some of my oldest relationships, my mother and my brothers, where they're very much content with whatever patterns have, you know, brought them this far. And I've obviously gone against that, and especially in the last 9 to 12 months, because inherently I saw, you know, if you want to use the word the matrix, as far as just things don't line up with how you truly experience yourself when you're not busy in that egocentric mind, or if you're not trying to be something for others rather than just be, and feeling comfortable in just being the observer and not judging yourself. And I think that's where that, for me, it's how do I reconcile, or how do I keep balance, or do I even keep that balance? And so I really sympathize and empathize with when you express like, oh, my family's, you know, they've called me these names, or you know, you're getting the impression that they've just kind of thought you are, you know, you've lost it, or when really you're feeling more free than ever. And how do you share that with some of the people you've cared the most or you've grown up with? But then, so for me, I guess what I'm trying to express is mostly that I'm having a difficult time finding where do they still fit in my life, when those are the same people who've, you know, in my personal experience, they've literally shut the door in my face. And that's something where it's like, whoa, you know, like, you're my family. And what is the word family if that's what you're capable of doing, you know? And it's not that, you know, I can't find forgiveness. It's I know that forgiveness is a gift that I give myself. But it's also, at what point do you feel like you're not being walked all over? if you just forgive with that loving intention, but you have to kind of graduate past this moment, you know, where it's a little bit, it's still kind of fresh for me because, you know, I'm trying to lead my family in a new direction, a direction that I was never guided. And, you know, so this is all new, but it feels so right because, you know, you mentioned the Judeo-Christian mindset, and it's not everyone is brought up the same way within that kind of formation. But for me, it definitely felt like you're not good enough. It's kind of built into that word. You know, I'm trying to lead my family in a new direction. Oh, sorry. I guess where I'm having the most difficulty, if that's the right way, is knowing how much attention to give any of those thoughts if they're not producing anything but subtle resentment or subtle, almost like keeping a scab, like peeling the scab. Instead of letting it heal, you just keep on peeling it. And versus, I don't know, it's just it's one of those things where the community that we're, you know, building, and the same like-mindedness is the one thing that kind of drives it. Is don't judge, you know, don't judge yourself, don't judge others, because once you realize that we are all one, just expressed in different entities or different bodies, and love is the universal language. And if love is the universal language, everything is attracted to love. And I don't know, I'm having I guess to go off of what Jennifer was saying, I feel a little scattered right now with my mind, right? Where it's almost like I want to keep going. I want to keep going, and everything that I'm learning, and intuitively, I just don't know if it's gonna be. I can forgive, but I can't embrace, because if I embrace them back into my life, then I expose those same broken patterns and broken frameworks into my children's lives. And like, that's like the one thing I don't want, is for them to have this inherent guilt built into who they are, you know? I don't know, like,
I'm with you.
Yeah. I just want, yeah, do you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Finish your last
No.
thought. That was so good.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that, you know, one of the things that's really resonated with me recently is how the powers that be have really misconstrued some of the most beautiful teachings of Christ Jesus, because, you know, it's easy for the Western mind to equate the name Jesus and his teachings with this completely judgmental side, which is not what his teachings are. It's more, you know, when he says, I am the truth, the light, and the way, he's saying, if you do what I'm telling you, you are also the truth, the light, and the way. And it's inherent, and you don't have to feel like you're not good enough. You can actually just submit to the Father, and you are one with the Father. And that's like, that's where I'm at, but I'm surrounded by all this clouded, misconceived, you know, people who I've grown up with. And I'm like, how do I don't want to abandon them, but at the same time, I can't communicate to them. One of my wife's cousins says that, you know, Jesus had to leave Nazareth because they wouldn't believe him with what he was saying. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. Like, I'm having a hard time with the people closest to me really conveying the truest of the teachings, which is, you know, he's the biggest pusher of forgiveness. He pushes forgiveness to the end. And that's like what kind of heals everything, is if you can forgive, then there's no room for anything else, because love and forgiveness are, you know, one and the same. And I don't know if you want to help me tie it back up, Marie.
I would love this. This is like my favorite thing in the world to do. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I feel so honored to be in this space with you. I find that the humans, these beautiful people coming into my life right now, are just so deeply in tune and so we're vibing and we're changing and we're growing out of our old selves. And I think that what you're speaking to is really important. And it's what a lot of us have been working towards, particularly with our families of origin and our old friends that, you know, have this way of looking at the life, at life, and that we did for a certain amount of time, but we never really fit in. So, you know, there's one of us, at least one of us in every family. We're called the white sheeps, not the black sheep. Everybody's like, oh, you're the black sheep. I go, no, I'm the white sheep of my family. And it's owning your relationship with Christ 100%. So like the example of Christ is like, they put him on a cross and he still knew who he was. I am one with the Father. And that's what's happening. We're all going through these mini crucifixions every day. And the Course in Miracles teaches us that the Christ in you cannot be crucified. So that part of you cannot be touched by any of this insanity, which that's what it is. It's insanity. All judgment is insanity. That's all that is. But I think what's happening with a lot of us is that we've got to get really clear on what the purpose of the relationship is, because it's changed. And a lot of, just because they're holding on to the past doesn't mean you do too. And I think if you forgiveness is great. Okay, great. But that doesn't mean I'm going to keep showing up for this party. It's no fun. And I want fun in my life. And you're clear on that. I would invite you guys seriously. Like I've done this process like at least 100 times. I just did one last night. And I was again surprised at the level of alchemy that could happen when I spent time with like, what is this relationship for? And I think when you bring children into this, it's so important because I literally, like, I took my children to another country because I saw what was happening and I couldn't let it happen. I just couldn't. And where did the power come from? The money wasn't there. Nothing external, nothing made sense that made, you know, that was the move, but that was the guidance. And I think that's what's happening. If we've got to clear our minds from this. And now actually the third module is all about a forgiveness process. But I would start, if you would be so kind as to actually fill that out. What do I expect from my relationship to my family of origin? Because what happens is that if you're responsible, then you're the one who's going to have to make the changes. We're like waiting for other people to change. And if you're doing that, then you pay a high price for that. The price is you're at the effect of that behavior in someone else. If I'm waiting for someone else to change, then I have to live at the effect of that. What's the chance here that I'm having? I get to change how I show up. I remember the first time I didn't go home for Christmas. All the phone calls I got, all of the nasty, it was just like, yeah, I'm just not going to come. It was like, yeah, it's just namaste. I love you. I just can't do it this year. I don't have it in me. These people don't even realize how much armor I got to have to go into that battle. And how much of myself, my light, I have to dim. I got to dim so to the point where like I just would go to these family gatherings and I would just sit there and not speak. Mm-hmm. And, you know, okay, if I was enlightened, that could be, and there were times when it was fantastic because I was still in the light. But more often than not, I felt my vibration getting, you know, and I was struggling with myself. I wasn't being honest. The conversation was appalling. It wasn't a judgment at that point. It was an observation. This does not resonate with me anymore. The judgment comes when I'm like, oh, I'm so much better than you. I might think I am on some level, but I just stopped showing up. I remember the last straw was this conversation in these family chats. Anybody else have a family chat? I'm not in the family chat anymore because, there was this whole conversation going on that was just pure insanity. That's what it was. It's not a judgment. It's an observation. This is total craziness. And all I said was, there's another narrative. We could see this differently. And you couldn't imagine what came back at that. But maybe you could. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, I'm out. I'm out. 1, 2, 3, I'm out. I love you, but I have so got to go. I've so got to go. And that's where the power and that's where the miracles occur, out of that expression of love you had for yourself. I love myself too much. I love my energy too much. I love my connection to Christ too much. And we think that it's like we got to go through these battles every day. But I have gotten to a point where it's like, I'm kind of over that. I've taken too many punches. I already, I'm healing from cancer. Like I really gave it an all around. I'm not saying I am at the effect of that, but me trying to fit into those things was so diminishing to my spirit. And here I was thinking I was serving. I'm trying to share, information. Like, guys, I've been studying, the yogic texts for 15 years. I know a few things. I remember I said something to someone in my family. I said, I'm quite intelligent. Goes, yeah, but you can't make any money.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then you go, well, okay, yeah, you're right. Because money is, the root of all evil. And it's what's keeping all of us, but that's another conversation. Richard tapped on that earlier. And we're going to keep going with this conversation about money as we continue to develop. But it's like, that's how we value each other, not on your connection to spirit. And us,
Sorry.
Us here, we're all about spirit. We're all about Christ. We're all about God. We're all about connecting to the truth. So anything that's not that is getting repelled right now because of all the things happening. And that's a blessing. And I think it's just a shift in our mindset to be like, you know what? I love you. And it's a blessing because now I don't have to bring my kids over and they don't have to look at all of the lamb and, be tempted by the hot dogs and the stuff. Just on a basic level, food level, it's like, I looked at my daughter the other day at this camping trip and she was like, I'm going to have a hot dog. And I was like, you cannot eat that. And I never am like that. I'm trying to I said, you cannot do that. She got it. She's 6 because I put a boundary. No, love says no. That's where I'm going to end it. Love says no. Love says no. Love is not a pushover. Love says no. So I would invite you to say no every now and then. See how it feels. Does that make sense before we go to Jennifer?
For me?
Yeah, JC is at 3 C's.
Well, no, I think it's beautiful. I mean, I think I relate so much. I feel like you took the leap. Your timeline is ahead of mine in the sense that you've made that big change, and mine kind of, everything is a blessing when you look at it as like what you said earlier. Oh, it's my turn to approach this with love. It's my turn. It's not what I kind of want the showering right now, but right now it's actually my turn to be receptive as, oh, there's some bad energy coming my way. Well, I can deflect that. I can turn that into something else. And that's where I feel like what you're saying resonates so much, is that it's not that I'm going back to a poisoned well anymore. It's more that I genuinely do feel bad. I mean, I'm talking about a 67-year-old, I'm talking about a 68-year-old, my wife's family, they're also that same mindset, like, well, they look at it as like, well, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, I'm a that. Like those are, you hit markers that you're somehow more respected, and it's when I'm like, well, you've never challenged anything. You've actually just fed into this program. And in the end, the enlightened mind, the enlightened being really can look at everything and say, if you haven't come to the conclusion that the eternal moment is the only thing that's real, and when you can hold on to that in love, then there's no room for this doubt or this guilt. And there's so much guilt that is part of this, like you expressed, like, oh, I didn't go to Christmas either. I mean, there's a lot that happened this year. My father passed, and I don't want to, but the thing is, like, it's just a lot of, why aren't people seeing that? I'll just go real quick. When my father passed, it was like, aren't you all seeing this? Like, this is this man that's larger than life. Not that he had money and all that, but he was just a father to 6 boys. He was larger than life. And everyone was in such fear of his passing. And I was like, no, man, he's not, he's no longer plagued by the same things. He's in a different mindset altogether. And he was, anyway, not to get lost in that, but I really did feel like what you were saying is just brilliant, because you have to love yourself enough to not go back to something that you know is inherently toxic. And it's hard when the inherently toxic is coming from the people you grew up with and spent the most time with. And you spent, you know, you're saying, like, they say something about like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I was looking at that and I was like, well, if I spend the most time with myself, I gotta definitely love myself better, because if I'm too busy kind of identifying myself through the eyes of others, even if it's not just like, but really if I'm busy identifying myself as like, well, they think I am this, or, you know, selfish for not putting my kids in the school system, or not putting them in this, or not, or for myself, it's like, well, why didn't you just stick it out in that career? Or why didn't you just, it's like, because obviously it wasn't the right path for me. And it was, I'd rather, like, I think going back to what Richard said, I'd rather have less financially, but have more freedom in what I do choose to give out to the world. And right now, the time and what I put into my child's or children's minds is so much more important than, well, if they only went to school, then I'd have more time for me to kind of figure this out. And it's like, well, no, like, why is it so in my gut? It's like, no, because the children deserve guidance. They deserve someone that's going to tell them, no, you are 100% good as you are. You came into this world perfect. You know, like it's everyone that throws things and thoughts and everything at you that you no longer feel your natural state, which is one with the Father.
Right.
Anyway,
I think you're doing great. And I think everybody's resonating with this. And there's a lot of people online. We love you so much. It's so wonderful to hear you processing. And that's what I want these to be about. So you're so at home. Don't worry about it. Because this is the essence of what it is do I have the confidence? Do I have the faith in myself? Do I believe in myself? Do I believe in the Christ within me? Is that who I identify as 100%? And that's the work. That's the practice. Because if I love myself that much, then people can say you're this and that and this and that. Now, how often you show up to those conversations is a different story.
Right.
That's also the work. That's the next level. And so, you know, tools like the keys and things like that can support us in getting clear on like, well, wait a second here.
Right.
What's going on? And because again, what's missing in the relationship is what you're not giving to it. So if these people are not seeing that his passing was a blessing in so many ways, then I need to see that more fully. Because I'm getting distracted now. I'm getting plugged into what other people think. And nowadays it's like, wow, it's just, you just gotta go. And I think that a lot of us, we've spent a lot of energy trying to like convince people of how we see things. And now it's like, look, this is how I see things. And it's enough that I see it this way. And a few core people in my life see it this way. That's enough. And how do I feel when I think this way? I feel enlightened. I feel expanded. I feel excited. I feel creative. And that's the energy of magnetism that can then manifest your next move, whatever that's going to be. Because it could be a move. It could be a micro move, or it could be a big move, a macro move. Who knows? But let's be open to that. I think it's a lot about serving ourselves now and paying attention to our journey. 100%. That's of service to others. Because you're basically showing them, right? Last thing I'll say about this before I pass it on, it was like, I'm telling them, this is what we're doing. This miracle occurred. Everybody in my business turned against me. It was really hard. It was really difficult. And then the next thing I knew, someone from 10 years ago wrote me and was like, hey, can I buy this aspect of this and this and that? And then the money and like the miracles started to occur. Just when everything seems to get the worst it can get, that's what we're seeing now in the world stage. Then we pass through that portal, and that's what's happening. And so, yeah, the timelines are changing. And I feel so grateful that I jumped on a couple years ago, and now I can be here to say, guys, look, it's all good. It's all good. I promise you. I promise you. And worst case scenario, you move to Mexico. Worst case scenario, you take the less money you make because you're not working for organized society anymore, and you live like a king in Mexico. That's worst case scenario for a lot of us, guys. Like, seriously, like, the people in the Matrix go, oh, yeah, what do you know? You live in a beach town in Mexico. I go, I know a sunset. Like, I study the sunset. That's huge. Please, 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 please. Like, you guys gotta, please.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to say on this is just that came to my heart is, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little low, but I'm just.
Okay. I've got my earbuds in. Don't underestimate your influence on the ones around you. Okay? That's fear talking. So when we're afraid of these old relationships coming in and people who are still stuck, what we can do is just try to see them through the eyes of love and hold that, but still hold your boundary. But don't underestimate your influence to influence others. And as your vibration rises, it will kind of miraculously affect those around you. And it's like a ripple effect. So you just start with yourself, and what you can do. And just sort of let what everybody else is doing just kind of fade into the background, and just focus on you and the love in your heart, and show them love when you can, but just kind of give yourself permission to release them, give yourself permission to not be a son anymore or a daughter anymore, like just be a human with these other humans. Because we do tend to define ourselves in these parent-child dynamics, even into adulthood, and this is our time to make our own choices. And we have to let that old stuff just fade away. It's not serving you anymore. It's not.
Tell me your name. Tell me your name again. That was beautiful.
Stacy. Stacy Family.
Okay.
I didn't put my name in when I came in. I'm a little late to the party.
No, you're right on time, lady. You're right on. That was beautiful. I think
trust you. Trust yourself. That's the whole thing. And also, I wanted to say, if you're having a hard time like breaking up negative energy, give yourself permission to play. Play in your mind. Play in your head. Imagine the world you want for you and your children. And don't doubt it. Don't let the fear cover that and say, oh, I can never have that. When someone has something that you want and you feel triggered or jealous or, oh, I just don't think I'll ever get there, that's fear. Let that go. This world it's abundant. God has given us like the most abundant world. And it doesn't end, and there are unlimited resources, and it's out there, And so just, I know when we're like reevaluating these relationships, we need to do so from a place of abundance and not a place of lack. Like, well, that is such a negative energy. Well, I mean, look at that person and say, they have brokenness. And I recognize that, and I can send them love, from my heart. I can still have an open heart and still have boundaries. And I think that's just really key to remember. Like, loving someone doesn't mean letting them all the way in all the time.
Beautiful.
And I have very difficult relationships also. I have a difficult father relationship. They live 2 doors down from me. My kids still eat meat. We still eat, I'm the one cleaning myself. I have to take care of my temple. I have to put me first and trust that vibration will also lift the people up around me. And also just be gentle with yourself.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be gentle with you.
I want to do Sabina. I know you've been trying to pop in there. So you get in there and then Justin and then back to Jennifer. Sorry, Jennifer, we kind of skipped ahead.
No
Thank you for that. I think that's so important what you just shared. Someone said to me recently, your mamas and papas and everybody, just another brothers and sisters on the journey.
Mm-hmm.
They're just brothers. They're just brothers and sisters. You just known them a long time. Really good. Okay, Sabina, tell us. Will you unmute yourself? We can't hear you. Here we go.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Hello, Marie, and hello, everyone else on the call. I'm so happy to be here today. And I just want to quickly say something because I have to go now and pick up my son. I'm a single mom, and usually I drive during these hours to Manhattan to pick up my son. So it's very not ideal to be here. So today I can be here for some time. And first of all, thank you for putting this call together. I'm also a student of the Course in Miracles. I very much resonate with everything you share. And I actually took a little break. I studied for 2 years, but now I feel actually inspired to get back just listening to you. So thank you. And I very much resonate with the white sheep because I'm always in the black sheep. So when I heard that today, it's amazing. It just immediately just resonated on such a deep level. So thank you for that. And I just want to quickly say also, we had this discussion about family and being stepped in the back. And I've been that has been a long story all the way going back to my childhood. And I really learned to release any expectation from family. And even now with the situation, friends, I was part of a yoga community and I do ceremonies there with sacred cacao. And I was asked to wear a mask and I do not wear the mask. I've never worn one. And when they asked me to wear a mask, I simply refused. And that caused actually great division between the whole community. And I was asked to stay away from everyone. It was really I did it anyway, but it was a horrible experience. I decided not to do it again. So since then, I'm very distant from that whole community. And it was hard very first because I realized so many friends I had to actually let go of. But then realize at the end, it's really because we're constantly evolving and expanding. And part of our process is letting go of certain relationships, letting go of energies that are not in alignment anymore with who we are. Because when we expand, actually the energies it creates a gap between us and certain people. So it's just part of the process, letting go and releasing and being okay with this and just accepting it's part of this journey. And at the same time, bless the people and love them and move on. And that creates then space for other people to enter your field. And I actually recently met some really amazing people that are not wearing the mask. So my circle of friends got smaller, but it's much more intimate. And just the bonds are deeper. That's one of the experience I actually had from this situation. And I also want to mention, you mentioned you healing from cancer. And I actually invite you to look into water fasting. I'm practicing this for 25 years and I healed myself from Lyme's disease and 2 knee injury. And I have a friend who is stage 4 cancer. They gave him 6 months to live and healed himself with 30 days water fasting. So I think it's one of the most powerful ways to heal from any disease. Yes, and I just finished a 5-day fast. I did 2 days juicing and 3 days water. And it's just this most amazing feeling. Your mind just becomes so sharp. You can clearly see, you can see what's the truth, what's illusion. Your mind is just so, you can really practice discernment. It has just so many benefits. You have so much energy. And the most important thing is this gratitude for life. Really enjoy those precious moments and just being grateful for even simple things. And grateful for your health. And our body is a miracle. We can heal ourselves from any disease. There's really no limitations. The only limitations are in our mind. So I just want to offer this to you look into water fasting. And it's a powerful tool. I've been doing it every month since I had Lyme disease 3 years. I do it every month, 5 days, usually 3 or 5 days. And it made a huge difference in my life, in every area, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, emotional. So that is my offering for today. And now I have to go to drive into this crazy world of Manhattan where everyone is masked. It's like going to zombie land. That's my task for today, but I'm so happy that I was able to be here and experience your beautiful presence. And it's actually my goal to either move to Costa Rica or Mexico at some point in the future. So at some point I will come and visit Mexico and explore, see what's available there.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Wow, that
Thanks.
was so
And I'm
beautiful.
sending so much love to all of you.
Thank you,
Love,
Sabine.
love.
Sabina.
Thank you.
We feel it. Wow, what a light.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep
I'll be back
shining.
next time I can.
Good luck. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think that was such a good point, isn't it? That, you know, relationships changed, but deeper and more intimate ones showed up. And yeah, fasting and water fasting and all of the things that we're all practicing now. The level of clarity is brilliant. So much
It
gratitude.
just goes to show, I'm sorry, I was going to say, it goes to show with Sabina's contribution, so powerful and so succinct. And she just mentions how the best things in life are already with you. Like no one can stop you from fasting. No one can stop you from enjoying God's water. Like all of those things are just so readily available, but they do the way that we all are raised for the most part, we're kept from these truths. So it's an amazing time to kind of come to this realization.
Yeah, it really is. You guys, there's 75 people with us online. It's amazing. Thank you. What a great chat too. They're chatting it up. They love that we're having real conversations. And that's what I love also about these times. Justin?
Yeah, thanks, Thursday. Thank you so much for your vulnerability. That was really beautiful to express that, and it's so powerful. Like it just, I mean, you saw what it did. Like it just ignited this whole conversation and took it into a whole beautiful space where we have all these people relating to it, and that's the catalyst that we need to be putting out there because that's the strength that we can give people. So thank you for that. Really, really appreciate it. So a few things came to me, you know, and this is really just kind of summarizing stuff we've covered this weekend and last week. But really, when we're looking at any decision that we're making, just like get it as simple as possible. Like where am I pulling from? Is this from love or is this from fear? You know, and all is love. Like it all started from that central focal point, like that one singularity. But there was that split, there was that duality, and we chose to experience that. So where am I acting from when I'm deciding how to continue with my relationship with a family or friends of old? Am I acting from a place of fear of you know, am I afraid that I'm never going to speak to them again, or am I afraid that they're going to reject me or they're going to judge me or whatever that is? Or am I acting in love? And that's including myself in that love too. You know, am I acting in love to say like, hey, this is and going back to what Marie said about pushing buttons, I think it's so perfect because that's when we act out of love, we're trusting the process and we're trusting that maybe this process was for us to push these buttons to give this opportunity for my family to have someone within their circle that they might not never have experienced, to push those buttons in a way to activate them, to get them to start thinking about it, not with expectation that they're going to receive that in that moment, but that's an initial catalyst. Like you might be, I love how Charlie puts it as far as like Jesus was the first one to hop over the wall, and inevitably that first one, it always gets bloody. And that's the sacrifice that we make. And so being that first one to push that button, you are giving your family an opportunity to have someone within their circle to have that, to see that so clearly. They don't have to accept it. That's not for you to decide whether they accept that gift or not. But it's a seed. It's a seed that can grow later on. So just giving them that opportunity of having someone saying, "Hey, there is another way, but I can't stay in this with you because you're trying to take from this experience. You're trying to take from this way. You're trying to steer it and redirect it. But yeah, just trusting that process and trusting the plan, trusting God, trusting that all is exactly how it needs to be in that exact moment, I think is so helpful. And it can certainly bring up, it has for me brought up a lot of sadness and a lot of because every end of a relationship, I mean, it doesn't have to be forever, but each time it happens, it's a death. It's a mourning process that we go through to say, like, like, you reminisce on all that was, and it's always sad. But those sort of reactions are also lessons from God to say, okay, how am I reacting to those sort of things as well? How can I step into that place of the observer, have these emotions flow through me, but not hold on to them as well, and so each example is just another opportunity, just another way for us to grow and step more fully into it. And I don't say any of these things from having fully grasped it, because I still struggle a lot of times, but I just wanted to reiterate those things that we've covered already, and say it from my voice and what came to me. So I appreciate your vulnerability. It's truly so powerful. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you.
So we're all dealing with so many of the same things. So it's just different shapes and sizes. I think that's what's so powerful about. Oh, hi, Danny. That's what's so powerful about being together in this space. Okay, Jennifer, did you want to share something?
Yeah, going back to 3C, sorry, 3C, I didn't catch your name. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, no, I go by that. My name is.
You go by 3C. Okay.
It's okay. It's not a big deal. If people want to know my name, they can ask. My name's Miguel, but I don't really associate with the name so much. So. Okay.
Well, Miguel, you talked about Judeo-Christian values, and I had to ask these tough questions because I was brought up, in that environment, and I've gone through some of Charlie's Freak's teachings, deconstructing some of these old, paradigms to understand the deeper truths behind the Bible. But one that I had to come to grips with was honoring your mother and father. So, we had such different views on things, such, polarizing, that I really made the decision to just totally disconnect. And that's a tough, tough decision to make. But it was so triggering to me that I had to do it, because I had to do it for my own self. I wasn't getting the respect that I deserved. So when someone wasn't hearing my opinion, and they were putting their views over my own, I wasn't given the respect that I know I deserved. So finally, for me, there wasn't a middle ground, but it took me years and years to actually reach that decision. And so ultimately, I find that, with the teachings of Jesus, he's an ascended master. I don't think he's going to get triggered by anything. We're working towards that. You talked about the scab, how it keeps coming off. You want to heal, and you keep, the wound just keeps reappearing. So I think you do have to heal that wound. There's a certain point where you got to work on yourself, even if that means totally disconnecting. You got to heal that wound before you're ready, and you can be the ascended master who's not going to get triggered. You recognize the trigger. You say, okay, I need to work on this. It's not just, like you said, the relationship, it's a give and take. You have to learn from them as much as they learn from us. But, it seems like we have to keep working on ourselves to the point where, okay, we're ready. Even if that's their opinion, we're ready to hear it, and it's just not going to affect us. But as long as we're triggered by it, I feel like for me personally, it's just, I think it depends on the extremity of the views and the way people are, whether they're respecting or disrespecting. The disconnect was so healing for me. I could just move forward and work on what I needed to work on. And I made so many advancements it's just mind-blowing, the advancements I've made as soon as I just disconnected, and it was just my son and me, and we've grown so much in just the past 6 months. So, sometimes we just have to make those really, really tough decisions. Doesn't mean that we can't reconnect later, you know, when they start, maybe hopefully with this awakening, a lot more people are going to wake up. And, you know, I've been reaching out a lot online to find common views, common, you know, perspectives, but I'm really hoping that the people around me start to wake up too, and that we can start connecting with our neighbors. That would be great, wouldn't it? You know, if people could start seeing things from our perspective as well, and we don't have to live in this kind of online world. You know, it'd be nice to have, you know, friends that we can connect with, you know, from tangible. Would be nice too. But yeah, that's ultimately, you know, we still need to work on becoming that ascended master. Eventually, I think it'll happen for all of us. You know, I think it will happen for all of us in this group. So
Oh, yeah, for sure. I want to say two things, and then Justin, Danny, and I said I wanted to say two things. Oh, here. Love is eternal, but it changes form. That might be a good one. Love changes form. And the second one is gone. It will come back later. Justin, Danny. And then we're going to have a song from our beautiful Angelica.
Beautiful. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on what Jennifer said about honoring thy father and mother, and really bring it into something that Charlie style, which really rung true, and that our parents are a pair of rents. They helped facilitate us and bring us into this world, but only God, only our Father and our Mother Earth and our Father above, they can only bestow consciousness. So they are our true parents. They are our true father and mother. So we have our physical father and mother, which, you know, can teach us a lot of things and bring a lot of things, and inevitably they will, because they're the first people that we're in relationship with. But our true father and mother are our Mother Earth and our Father above. And so those are the ones that you truly have to honor in every scenario. And that's where that commandment comes from. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
So powerful. I love that teaching too. Yeah, just brothers and sisters. Thank you. Lots of gratitude. And it's now time. This is adulting. This is adulting. Not always easy work for us grown-ups. You know, can I just say that baby is like, please bring me the babies. I just want people with babies to come here.
This is Rory Christopher.
Rory Christopher, little Christ.
Yeah.
Little Christ, I love you. Please come play with my babies. He's a
hi.
juicy one too. He's got the whole thing going on.
Say hi. He's got that thumb.
Oh yeah. I miss that so much. My 4-year-old still has a bit of baby left, but you know, anyway. Danny. How did you want to say something, or are you just here to say hi?
I'm just going to say hi, but also wanted to say thank you for what a beautiful exchange of energy. And one of the things that stands out for me, and this is pretty beautiful, is that you know, in this call there are, you know, we've got Richard from the UK, Justin, beautiful brother too, 3C, you know, powerful dad in the making, and then me. And that just goes to show that there are men that are willing to show their strength and vulnerability. And that's pretty powerful. And I just want to also thank you so much, Jennifer, for offering that insight that once we get away from the distractions, which we've pretty much summed in that they were the blood family, then we can start really polishing our true self. And I think it's for both sides. And talking about the father and mother, I'm seeing it now as a young father, and slowly seeing my children starting to stand really on their two own feet, personality speaking. And I think it's a gradual letting go. And I think for our folks too, you know, they're doing the best that they can with what they got given in their own past times as children. So always remembering that, and I know it hits really hard. I've had it, perhaps, I wouldn't say easier, because I have been detaching from my mother's side for about 25 years. I've lived in different continents, And the meetings have been maybe like 3 weeks a year. And it's just really been really good, frankly, for me and for her. And also have a sister who's younger, and it's just the dynamic that's kind of worked out. The men come forward. And coming back to the beginning, this process, the 8 key, it's a really powerful tool. We were getting sucked into the old system. Oh, we'll be so beautiful, you know, my kids get to see the grandparents and this and that. And then we started writing out our different keys, and the picture started to look much more different. And this is really a way of I wouldn't say taming our emotions and feelings, but it certainly gives us the chance to be an observer of our own opportunities that we're starting to work with and manifest and also heal from. But becoming an observer and observing the facts, and really being able to sit back without being dominated by a thought process that's going to take us somewhere again and again, and this wheel of kind of, I can't get out of it. So I just want to thank you, Marie, for putting this forward, because I mean, we live it a lot, this particular tool and many others, but this is stuff that we don't learn, and this is a way of practical manuals of life. Beautiful toolkit. And thank you, everybody, for really being in there. I mean, I keep seeing it more and more that this pandemic situation has been like a great school for humanity, and it still is. There's a lot of, and Justin, you say something about bringing pain to the surface, and that's what we got to do. We got to extricate it out from within, so we can liberate that trapped energy, so we can move it around, so we can have the tears, so we can have the rant, so we can have the anger and express it out. Particularly for the men, it's really important to do that. We've suppressed our manhood in that kind of way, and manhood being a masculinity, the constructive, the force, the energy, and being able to express it again, and then convert it into a situation of harnessing a baby and looking after the children. So thank you for this opportunity one more time, and it's amazing that we can use this technology to join like-mindedness and resonance in around the world. It's such a beautiful time to be around. So thanks again, people.
Thank you. This is our new family. I love this. This is our soul tribe. This is our soul family. And we've all met each other at some point before. It's like Charlie says, everything's been created. So we've probably already hung out a gazillion times before. And now we're just doing it in little boxes on Zoom. So it's like, you know, we're going with the flow, but it's really beautiful. And I think that's one of the benefits of living your authentic life and following your intuition, is that you go through some hard times, right? You take the dark to the light. That's what I wanted today to be like. What's on your hearts? Like, let's put it out there, and let's give it to the mother. Let's give it to each other, and let's process it out, and bring it to the light, because we're all really here on a mission. And that's no joke. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw Richard into this Divine Masculine group as well, because he shared very vulnerably earlier. And so I want to appreciate and show gratitude to you as well, Richard. He's been a support in just about every chat that I've seen. And I appreciate your kindness and support there. So I just wanted to say that.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Go ahead,
I just
Dan.
wanted to add one more thing, and it's just honoring the work that I've been able to shadow Marie with and participate and assist with. And this is the kind of energy that happens in the yoga trainings that we've shared for, in my case, for over 10 years. And Marie, how much more? Like 15, 16 years perhaps. And so it's really a circle of peace and bringing up the love and holding the space. And no one is more expert than others, because like people, you know, humans, we have questions, and then we have these things that come up, and it's like, wow, we don't really know what we're going to talk about, because we're just going to create a container of I'm trying to illustrate it with words, but it's like we're really shaking the energy around and moving it about. And it's that knowingness that there's people in the YouTube chat, people in this circle and holding space. I was listening all the way in. I was sitting in a cafe and I thought, how lucky am I to be able to do this and to sit in here and just hold that energy and the ability to be able to speak freely and vulnerably like this is so beautiful and so powerful. And that's why I love being in these trainings that we've been holding for so many years. It's really like a space of blossoming and emergent energy. And well, we can look at it as the world falling apart and this new earth coming together. And I think this is the time and the space we've all been waiting for. And yeah, just let the tears flow, let the structures crumble, because the light is just dying to burst out from within. It's so powerful that I even get scared of myself so many times, and I have to ground myself. And I've done it with food, I've done it with other people's opinions, I've done it with tampering with my sexual energy. We'll get to that one day, guys. That's a big one. And it's that light is unstoppable no matter what. And it's pretty amazing. And I think I see it more in the children. I have two masters in front of me and I see their light being like super bright and strong too. And it's very sweet at the same time, and it's very adaptable and it's very loving. And love disarms all kinds of barriers. I learned that 12 years ago, going to Indonesia and having locals trying to sell me stuff, which was fine. But I kind of learned that when I was okay, I just smiled. And then the whole theater was like, okay, he's cool. That was it, you know? So yeah, fasting, Sabine, what an incredible insight you had about healing. And like, I've got to go pick up my son, but I want to share this. This is my contribution to the world today. Like, whoa. Yeah, fasting, physical fasting, liberating the energy from the body. Yeah, it's so powerful. I'm so grateful this is happening right now. I mean, we had a structure before and a group, and guys, it broke down within a week. Like, literally lost our business within 2 weeks. People going, money, this and that, and like, wow, okay, so that was the love. It was conditioned by me putting money down, and you have to act customer service way. And it's not about the people themselves, it's the training that we've had with this energy. And so we are in a place where everything is going upside down. So we better learn how to do handstands, and we love doing handstands in our space, So yeah, guys, everybody's doing great. Thank you again. I'm out.
Thank you, sweetheart. We love you. That was so good. I was thinking of doing a yoga class, like an online yoga class, maybe even tomorrow or Thursday. If anybody wants to move around, we can do that. Yeah, I'll just do it like this, and I'll teach a little bit, but do it with you. It'll be fun. Yeah, we'll move and breathe. Okay. Stay tuned. We'll sort it out with Danny. Maybe even tomorrow. I have to see what's happening on the calendar. Is getting a little bit cuckoo, but super fun, amazing times. All right. You guys, I love you. I want to try and keep these calls to 2 hours. So Angelica, I want to pass it to you, beautiful soul, and anything that you want to share. And then, yeah, if you want to grace us with some resonance, we're here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I turned it on. Yeah. I just wanted to say very shortly, for Jennifer, don't feel so bad, because there are worst scenarios where there's an entire family with kids that actually we're not in touch anymore because of similar reasons. So the conclusion that I got to is that no matter how much forgiveness you offer, which is amazing for the one who gives it, and it should be also liberating for the other person as well. But ultimately, they have to accept it for themselves. So the conclusion that I got to is, okay, I forgive, that's fine. I feel good about it. I feel good to love. but ultimately they have to accept it for themselves. And if they don't accept it, it's because they probably don't feel they're worthy of it, of love, of forgiveness. So basically, I look at them as, I don't like to say I feel bad for them, but I do in a way, because they really don't understand what they're doing to themselves. And in A Course in Miracles, it does say, Marie, that every time you have a negative thought, every time you think anything that's less than love, it's like literally hitting yourself over the head. I don't remember, I'm paraphrasing right now, but it's constantly hitting yourself over the head with negative thoughts. So that's the conclusion I got to with people. I'm offering forgiveness. If they don't accept it, then they have an issue with forgiving themselves and accepting love and forgiveness. And it's just the journey they're on. It doesn't mean I'm better or anybody else is better. It's just we're at different stages in our journey, and I'm willing to accept that finally after 18 years of trying. 18 years of trying, both my husband and I. And it is what it is, It's, I guess there are lessons that we had to learn as well. And I think the first one is to basically let people be. And the saying, what others think of you is none of your business. So just accept what it is and move forward in love, and hopefully they'll come around.
I think if I can just chime in real quick, what you just said was so potent, and it's this: the lessons they have to learn are not yours, but you have to learn yours. So like when you say, I'm going to let them be, what you're learning through your forgiveness is how to practice acceptance. Huge allowance, huge spiritual qualities. So anytime you practice forgiveness, it's very simple. It's like, whatever the resentment is, am I willing to let this go? Yes, no, or maybe. Yes, I'm willing to let this go. Okay, then what's the spiritual quality I get to practice right now? Does that make sense? And that's just a mini process. It's like, oh, self-acceptance, self-respect, awareness, humility, strength, whatever comes through, patience, joy. And then the forgiveness is the gift that you give to yourself, because then what? Then you're living in those lessons. And that's why we're still triggered. And that's why forgiveness is the key to happiness, because when you're triggered, it's like, what can I see this differently? Am I willing to let this go? And then if I was, what would I get? If I'm not, also, what would I get? Because if I'm not willing to let this go, then I have to suffer. And that's what you're speaking to. It's like the ego is looking for any shred of guilt in anyone, you or your brother. It doesn't care. Anybody. Anywhere it can place its guilt, it loves that. So forgiveness is really powerful because you get to learn the lessons. And then you not only learn that, but live them. Practice them. Well, I'm accepting this. Okay. Really, really good, you guys. I love this conversation. I really appreciate all the sharing. Thank you, Angelica, my fellow course student.
Of course, is my Bible, but I don't say that anymore, actually, because Charlie Freak made me like the Bible again.
Yes.
The story with the Bible.
Me too. Someone said Charlie Freak made God sexy again. I think it was Davina. Charlie Freak made the Bible awesome again.
Yeah. So yeah, it's my second Bible.
Yay. Okay, what do you have for us?
I have for you a song that I wrote in 2007, and it's called Remember Who You Are. I was a little bit ridiculed for this, writing these lyrics at the time. And it's actually also the name of the whole album. I wrote an original album, and I also titled the album Remember Who You Are. And because nobody that I met at the time, I was trying to push it into the, entertainment business and see if I can, make it. And it was not accepted because the lyrics were too out there. And anyway, so I almost abandoned this album for a few years. And this past year, I actually revived it in a way where I'm actually I sing the songs, and I feel like people understand the lyrics. And I'm so happy that, I got to meet people like you guys that can resonate and and hopefully will find these lyrics meaningful like I think they are. They're not mine, they came to me, so I don't take I don't take credit for them. So it's called Remember Who You Are, and it's also the soundtrack that I used for my story, Love is Light. So I'm going to turn the music on. My husband set me up with it.
Yay.
Can you hear the music? You're facing now the end of a road paved with illusions and what others want. You know it's not supposed to be this way. There are feelings inside and words you can't say, and you try and hope to break through the sadness, holding on to beliefs of what life should be like. Nothing else left to say, so cherish your greatness. Answers are easy for the pure of heart to find. Remember who you are. Release your inner child. Remember who you are. Quiet your mind. Let your soul guide. Losing yourself in games and fake smiles, it always shows you who you are now. It's alright, you lost your way for a while. Time to be still, the truth lies inside. Nothing else left to say, so cherish your greatness. Answers are easy for the pure of heart to find. Remember who you are. Release your inner child. Remember who you are. Quiet your mind. Let your soul guide. Wherever you are, whatever you do, remember and know that love is in you. Remember who you are. Release your inner child. Remember who you are. Quiet your mind. Let your soul guide.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I don't know, I'm so nervous when I'm sing for you guys. I'm never nervous.
Ah, that was perfect.
You know we get it. You know we get it. Maybe. Wow.
So beautiful.
The child note, that was like a blew out.
Release your inner child. Remember who you are, release your inner child. That's so perfect, so beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It was wonderful.
Wow, you guys. Isn't this fun? Angelica, have you guys all seen her book? It's on YouTube. We'll make sure we put it in the show notes. It's a beautiful story. It's about 3C for your babies. I haven't shown my babies yet because I don't think they know about the devil yet.
Then they shouldn't.
So I'm kind of like, I'm not, we try and just,
Yeah. Well, I wrote it, the story. I'm not going to say it now, maybe another time, but I wrote it because I come from a place where I was indoctrinated with the idea of the devil, and grew up to have in my 30s panic attacks because of it. So and it was a very long journey, and I got to a point where now I actually have compassion because I understand why he's here and why he was given to us. It's a gift. It's a gift to be able to use our free will. And that's what the story is about. It's called Love is Light, Transmute Fear into Love.
Beautiful. Yeah, I would challenge that a little bit. We do need to know about our shadow self so that we can not let it take hold, but do not let it consume us. Do not let it take the reins. So yes, we need to know, but we need to not look at it from fear. It's from just a seeing and observing.
Yeah, we need it. If it wasn't for the darkness, we wouldn't know what light is. We wouldn't know what to choose. There would be nothing to choose from if everything that we had to choose from was good and fluffy and feathery, and so it's very important, but it's the idea, the indoctrination that he is there or it is there to get us. That's how I grew up, with those ideas, and it's so wrong. It's wrong because it makes it sound like it's more powerful than anything else, and it's always there ready to get you. That's how I grew up. At least that's my experience. So that's where I'm coming from, but it's it's all necessary.
I relate to that, your experience, very much. So thank you for explaining that. So yeah, we're all graduating past those fears that are imposed on us. Thank you again.
Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Write down your fears. You'll see what we'll do next week. We're going to do something so awesome with your first 5 keys for anyone who takes the challenge. And thank you for sharing that, Angelica, and all of you, Justin and 3C, and I forget your name with the
Stacy.
Stacy, you came out batting, sister. You were like, hey, listen, this is what I got today. And Lana, I see you coming.
Did I get the time wrong? I thought it was now. I thought it was 8 hours behind me.
Where are you?
I'm in London, so I thought it was
6 or 7.
6 London time.
Todo bien. I love you guys. We're going to do this again next week, and we might even do a little yoga class anyway, Lana, tomorrow if you want to come.
Oh, okay.
Do
Where?
yoga class. Where? In Zoomland on YouTube.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
As long as we have these tools. I say we do yoga. I mean, I have a call at 1. We could do like 10 or 11. Anybody want to come? Is that interesting? I'll post it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Do a little yoga?
I would like it.
Let's do some yoga. How about 11 to 12? Okay, 11 to 12 Central, and I'll post it, and Danny will start the time. If you can come, we'll do it, and it will be great. And Lana goes back. I know her from 15 years ago in her teacher training in San Francisco, so that's kind of a full circle. And new friends and old friends, and life is beautiful. And I love each and every one of you so much. And we're in the group. If you have any comments or questions, please let us know. We're here to serve, and we love you so much. I can't even tell you.
Well, that was short and sweet for me. I'll make it next week at the correct time.
All good. All good. That was all you needed today.
Yeah, exactly. Just
all
to
right,
hear
friends.
the love.
Thank you to all of you live too. That was so fun to see you guys chatting it away and receiving the vibes. And yeah, we're just going to keep on going.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.